like, what were your emotions during that? Because that's a huge transition from like your life here in the U.S. where you have your job, certain
Yeah.
routines, and then quitting all that to go to the Philippines, like a totally foreign country. What was that for you?
Yeah, it was pretty shocking. You know, when we arrived in the Philippines, the first thing that we did was we went to the prison where Paco was on death row because I wanted to meet him. We hadn't slept, you know, I was just jet lagged. It was my first time in the Philippines. And we went to the prison and we just waited outside. We were trying to figure out a way to get in. Paco couldn't, you know, most prisoners can come to the gate to meet the visitors, but he couldn't because he was on death row. And after 3 hours, someone invited us in, and we weren't really sure if it was Paco or not. You know, there was a people were telling us to be very careful. There were a lot of people that didn't want this story to be told. You know, so we were getting a little bit paranoid. We ended up going inside the prison, and we were led. The prison there is essentially a walled city run by gangs. It's like nothing that you see here in the U.S. So we went through this whole area, went into a dorm. There was no electricity at the time, so it was pitch black. And I just remember being led through, and you know, someone lit a lighter next to me, and there were just bodies everywhere, just like men laying around. And you know, we had to kind of walk really carefully, not to step on people. And then started to wonder, like, where am I being taken?
Oh
You know,
my
I was
gosh.
a little bit paranoid.
Mhm.
And then finally we got to a room where Paco was. And there was a little window in that room, so there was light, and it was great, you know, and that was the first time I met him. And then over the course of the next 4 months, we would visit Paco every chance that we got. And, you know, little by little, we realized that in order to make the film properly, we had to include Paco's voice
Mhm.
because Paco wasn't allowed to testify at his own trial. So we had to figure out a way to get a camera snuck into the prison so that we could conduct interviews with Paco. You know, we had to get something with night vision because often the electricity would go out inside and there was no light. Um, so that's what we did. You know, we conducted a series of interviews with Paco inside, and we'd leave the camera inside. Sometimes they would even have to bury it in the ground just to keep it hidden from the guards, and we would just leave with the tapes in our pocket.